Boobies.
Hi,
Hello.
and welcome to Boobies.
Oh, that's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua,
And today we're here to talk to you about
the one and the only
Dracula.
Count Dracula, or also known as Vlad the Impaler,
Vlad the Impaler,
Or-
based loosely off of, Vlad.
or Prince Vlad.
Or Prince Vlad. That's
Or-
my sweet prince.
Well, there was some three names, and then a bunch of other names, I guess, and then Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I guess Nosferatu just means vampire.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
But
got
it-
that after
but then-
watching this.
Right, but then also he was like Vampira Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Van Helsing said that, like
Yeah.
Vampira Nosferatu. So I'm like, are they? Maybe it's like a classification and a genus. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like distinction between long-haired American short hair and American long hair cats.
Yeah, I can see that. Maybe that's what it is, or maybe like a classification between how like badass, how batty the vampire
Nosferatu.
is like giving very old ancient vampire, right?
Crusty motherfucker.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Because he is from 1462 as we start at the
Yes.
beginning of this film with the fall of Constantinople, which I don't know where the fuck that is. Where was that? Is that
Constantinople.
Romania?
Was in Constantinople.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was just like west of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Everything
so-
west of the Mississippi.
Well, there was a Texan in this movie, which really threw me off when he
I
came
know.
in. Because I was like, why?
How'd you get to London,
where did
sir?
we get a Texan? And so anyways.
And of course, he was gun wielding.
Mm-hmm. And we are Count Drac.
We're talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula, by
oh,
the way,
but-
from
yeah.
1992.
Yes.
So, not to be confused with the
Many other.
many other Draculas that there are out
Yeah.
there. But the one that's Bram Stoker, starring Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder,
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. He
Anthony-
looked so cute in this movie.
Oh, he did. Yeah. Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins, Carrie Elwes,
Sadie Frost. Monica Bellucci.
Eels.
Carrie Ewes. Yeah. Tom Waits. Yeah.
Really
quite a few
star-studded
other- Yeah, it
cast.
really was. I was like, I know I've seen him in so many things. That Carrie Ewes guy.
Yeah, he was in Twister.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He was the dude who was a jackass.
Yeah.
Jonah, right? Jonas.
Jonas.
He died. R.I.P.
He did.
Not the actor.
R.I.P.
Jonas. And so then he's impaling and killing a lot of people because that's what he does. And he's on conquest, and he had left his wife, and his wife, who is Winona Ryder, I was about to say Winona Judd, was like, all like, oh my God, the narrator's like, she knew that he had something that he could not, an insurmountable like enemy that he might not come back from, or something like
Yeah.
that.
And then she got a fake telegram or
Yes.
letter sent to her by the
enemy.
enemy saying that he had died. And
She decided to unalive herself.
yep, she Elizabeth.
Isn't-
She jumps out and flings herself into the river.
Yeah. And we have he gets, oh yeah, and then that's whenever he ends up coming to find out that she killed herself whenever he gets back. And it was kind of stunty to me how they like set her up with like that little letter and everything on
Yeah.
her, because they obviously didn't find her that way. They had to pull her out of the river
And,
and,
then
stuff.
lay her
and
there
yeah, but they like kind of set her up all like in a way.
dramatically.
Exactly.
Yeah, they just like flung her body and posed it on the stoop of the, like, what's it called?
The
Altar.
altar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And so her body's all posed and she just looks very it was very dramatic. And she had that letter pinned to her, and it says, "My prince is dead. All is lost without him. May God reunite us in heaven."
And it has like that little imposed like kind of thing of her falling on the letter, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It was so funny because a lot of those times are like when you would see like the eyes and the clouds are like kind of overlaid. It definitely gave like you could tell it was made in the early 90s because it was like that, like giving me 80s vibes and stuff. Still.
The like superimposing and everything.
But she is damned.
Double exposure.
And damned because she took her own life.
Yep.
And that's what the priest is telling him. He's like, well, you know what? If she's damned, I'll be damned with her too because I renounce God. And he stabs the cross and blood just starts spewing out.
Yeah, it starts coming from the cherub's eyes and then from the actual cross itself. And then he gets a chalice and puts it underneath the blood dripping and like collects it and then drinks the blood. And there's just like blood overflowing from the altar.
Yeah.
It was just like everywhere. And I was like, well, that's a lot of blood.
It was over. You know, it would be cool.
Cunty communion.
Yeah, exactly. It was a bit over dramatic, but it was also giving like rock band music video like thing.
I finally watched the opening ceremony for the Olympics last night.
Yeah.
And they had the metal band with, and then the red streamers and all the decapitated people.
I don't think I saw that, but I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah. That one of the parts was like this like hardcore metal band. And then they had like decapitated Marie Antoinette kind of looking
that sounds cool.
bitches in the window.
Yeah.
Like singing and talking, and then like they're holding their heads.
Yeah,
in their
no, I get it. Yeah.
And then they shot forth these red streamers, and it just was like, it looked like blood just coming down, and then there was like red smoke.
That's so artistic.
It was.
Yeah.
It went from Les Mis to that.
Well,
and I was like,
I saw certain parts of it, but I haven't seen the whole thing as a whole because it was a pretty long opening ceremony thing. I mean, as they usually are.
Place in lots of different. I watched Celine Dion's performance too, which that was phenomenal.
See, I actually didn't even watch that one. I haven't seen that one, but I'll have to watch it.
But Lady Gaga did something.
Oh, best believe I watched that.
Yeah.
I saw it.
I didn't get to see that yet.
Oh, see, well, it was really. I thought it was cool.
I want to see it.
She did something that was more like Frenchy and artsy and stuff like that. Yeah,
it
wasn't her song. Yeah, and so we have a title card, Bram Stoker's Dracula,
and it looks almost fleshy.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, just like how I really did Count Drax body armor. How it looks like muscles, almost like from like a, what are those called? Like skeleton muscle.
Yeah, the like
display at a doctor, like at a science class situation.
Whenever it's basically you just take off the skin.
Yeah. Very cool.
That is what it looked like. It reminded me of an anime.
Sometimes I wish we looked like that.
Just walking around like little meat suits.
Maybe. All right. I really like if we also had like
without our little meat suits,
fluorescent skin or skin that would like illuminate. That would be cool. We really didn't luck out evolution wise, I guess, just yet. But Mr. Renfield, we come to him because he has lost his mind, right?
And we're in London now, 1897, 4 centuries later. And
it's important.
Yeah, we're with Renfield, who is like eating flies, much like Knock did.
Yeah, Mr. Knox. In the Nosferatu episode, and which we covered last week. And yeah, he is displaying the signs of insanity to the doctors. I think I don't remember his name. Well, I wrote it down somewhere later, but they're basically trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah, they're just trying to figure out what's going on with him. But then this quickly transfers to the boss. Did you catch his name?
No, I just got that he's
Reeves'
telling
boss,
Reeves,
Jonathan's boss.
Jonathan
is telling him that Renfield lost his mind and that Jonathan needs to take over this account to make a lot of money, which is very reminiscent of like obviously the book and from Nosferatu. And then he is like, yeah, okay, well, what happened to Mr. Renfield anyways in
He's like,
Transylvania?
not important.
He's like, nothing. Yeah. And
Nothing.
Keanu's then just like, okay, well, none of my business then. I guess that's fine. I'll do it. And he has to go talk to his fiance, Mina, because he's got to go on this business trip, and they had plans to get married. And so she's a little, flustered
Miffed.
because she was like, well, I guess we've waited this long. What's another, I guess he thought he was only be gone a day or two, right?
Yeah.
Essentially.
And then he gets there and he figures out that Dracula wants him to stay a month. Well, a month.
Right, quote unquote. But no, that's not the case. But until then, they're having this moment, but he ends up leaving.
They're
traveling.
making out.
Oh yeah, they do make out.
We get peacock feathers. Like, this was a highly sensual movie.
Which has kind of been the case as we've been talking about with vampires. And
Vampires are sexy, except for Dracula.
He's not. He was not at all this whole movie.
Looking.
The whole time.
Even when he was the sweet prince, I was like, girl, you gonna leave Keanu Reeves for that?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Me too.
Gary Oldman.
I'm sorry, Gary Oldman. But
I think
Keanu Reeves was.
He was in his
cuter.
Oh, he's so cute. But
he had a tight little butt.
And Winona was so beautiful. She's so pretty.
Was.
I mean, she's always pretty. But I forgot. I lost my train of thought because we started talking about how hot they were. But
yeah, I don't know.
Carpathian Mountains. He's gonna start traveling.
We got confirmation that the Carpathians actually were mountains in this, and he's reading a letter from Dracula that says a bunch of shit, and then he signs it, "Your friend D."
Oh, yeah. We were talking about how sexual the vampires are and all this stuff is, because even at certain points, I feel like Dracula is a bit like homoerotic with Jonathan.
Yeah, the whole shaving him scene.
Yeah.
I was like,
and then like with the blade in his mouth when he's not looking.
It's so weird, his little tongue.
So there was a lot of that. So I to me, I just like I want to look into that. Like, I wonder why. Is it the blood? Like, what is it that makes vampires so sexy or sex appeal? I don't know. Anyways,
I guess maybe it's the like unknown and the mystery and the like taboo of how it's blood, and you're not supposed to drink that.
Sound off in the DMs, you guys, if you're listening, and let us know why you think vampires are sexy or not sexy. And yeah, so he makes it to. Oh, and we're also getting a bunch of like glowing eyes from like Dracula on like the screen over the clouds, kind of into whatever you call it, woven in there. And I love how we ended the letter with like, your friend D.
Yeah,
it sounded so silly.
It did. And there's lots of howling and like ghostly kind of eerie sounds that are like, I don't know. I was going to try to do one, and then I was like, no, that's embarrassing.
Wait, the ghostly eerie or the...
Yeah, the ghostly eerie sounds. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But there was lots of them, and they're traveling there, and what he said something about, do not worry, the dead travel fast. Like, you're going to get there in no time kind of thing. And they're going up this mountain, and they're like on a cliff face, and Jonathan sticks his head out the window and like looks down, and I would have shit a brick because the carriage wheel is like right on the edge of this cliff, and I was like, ooh. And
when you look at things from that perspective, it always looks like so much worse. Yeah. I was
a little bit scared for him. Didn't think they were going to make it. But he does. And then they get there, and he like goes through this blue flame, like fire tunnel thing, which I didn't really know what that was. Maybe it was like a force field.
I think a lot of times this movie had moments like that where it was just kind of like added special effects, but maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, because whenever Winona or Mina calls him later, right as they're like about to kill him, and then she like calls out to him, the blue flames come from her mouth and like
Oh, when she's like setting up the storm?
look like smoke rings. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess maybe it's
He
just
does. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure.
of,
I mean, he has special magical, supernatural
yeah, he can
abilities,
appear as a mist like we saw.
and then change into like rat form and bat, and
he controls
something
bats
else.
and wolves.
And actually turns into rats as well.
Yeah, he did physically turn into rats.
And that green mist, like so.
So maybe it was just him standing there.
Could be
offering, but we even see Jonathan's head go like out the window, and he's like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah,
he looked a little confused, and I was like, "Same, bud. I have no clue what the fuck's going on right now in this fever dream of a movie."
A lot of times it felt like that, because there would be even like cutaways or like do things where I'm just like, "What is this?"
And what is the point of?
Or like when they're shooting and chasing after Dracula in that carriage, and it's like towards the end of the movie, and they're behind him and the things. I felt like just felt very choppy.
Yeah.
A bit, and kind of like you said, just kind of felt more like choices were made. Yeah. Because they thought it looked cool, maybe, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. And so yeah, we're going through all of that, but he does end up arriving. And he meets Dracula.
He does, and he looks real rough. They did him up in some.
He definitely like looks.
Like those German sausages that are white.
No, oh.
That's what he looks like.
You have to show me, then it's because his hair, and it's very Liberace. He looks a little bit theatrical, and he obviously looked a bit aged because he's been there for forever, and he's been that looks really gross. That looks, and that's people eat
vice versa.
People eat that, right?
Yeah, literally translates to white sausage.
I wonder why.
Well, doesn't it look just like him?
But why is it uncircumcised? Why is it white?
I don't know. This one looks like bananas.
Oh, it went back to the other one.
Oh, no. Look up vice versa, you guys.
Vice versa. Give me some vice versa. And so Dracula is a bit dramatic. He's like, "Hello, it's nice to meet you. I'm Dracula. Come into my home." And then he brings him in, and he's got this long ass train that's just following him.
Yeah, dope ass robe. And then he's like, "I've already dined."
Yeah, I love that. He's like,
on blood.
Yeah, because he's like, "And I don't drink wine." But there was a pause in between that where it was just like he was being cheeky.
Yeah, he was. And so they sit down, they're having dinner, and then Jonathan asks him about the portrait on the wall and says like, "Oh, I can see the resemblance." And he's like, "Oh, yes." And
the Order of the Dracul.
Yeah, the Order of the Dragon and the Dracul, and basically the knights back in the day. He wasn't giving away that it was him, but then I kind of missed it, but he says something touchy because all of a sudden Dracula pulls a sword on him and is like, "Don't you, this is no laughing matter." He laughed. I guess Jonathan laughed, and
because Dracula, is explaining how they his family ancestors made a pact with God on like having to honor and whatever conquest in the name of God, and he said that Dracula was the one who said something cheeky first. He said that obviously that deal or pact didn't fall through so well, and then like literally Keanu was just reacting to it, just like laughing, just kind of like trying to say something to that, and then what's his face, Dracula overreacted.
He lost his goddamn mind on him. I was like, holy shit. Draws a sword on him, and he's like, and then he says, "I am the last of my kind."
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes to him selling him the Abbey, right?
Yeah, he's selling him the Abbey. They're making a deal. And this is when Dracula is telling him, like, in Nosferatu, the I don't know why I'm even saying it like that, even though I don't.
Nosferatu.
He like drops the picture of like
Yeah.
her and it's out, but like here it's just blatantly out.
And then he says, "Oh, you found Mina."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Just
"What do you mean you found her?
like you just left her out there for
it
everyone to
was
see.
sitting on the table."
Yeah. And because Dracula's like, do you believe in destiny? Because you should find true love and hold on to it once you find it.
Yeah, the luckiest man to walk on this earth is one who has found true love.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I had it one time because Jonathan is asking him, you know, have you ever been in love? He was like, I was married once, but she died. And he's crying.
Yeah.
Tears. And then his shadow is doing the most in the background because Jonathan is explaining how him and Mina are about to be they're engaged, they're about to be married. And it's funny because the whole movie, Dracula's shadow is kind of doing things that his body isn't doing.
Yeah, there's different times where his shadow is in one place and then he shows up in another.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your shadow didn't follow you.
Yeah,
What is this,
all.
Peter Pan?
And he's like choking him when he says they're going to get married.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so that I just thought that was really funny. And then this is when he asked him to stay a month.
Yes.
And that he needs to write letters to the people that he loves and cares about and his employers that he will not be coming back. Because he will be staying with Count Dracula on his request.
Yes, he will take no refusal. And Drac bought 10 houses across London.
Oh yeah. Daddy's got bank.
Yeah. And he said a line that I thought was funny. He looked at Jonathan and he said, "You are a man of good taste."
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Oh."
Because he was comparing him to
That was
Renfield,
a little gay, wasn't it?
It was gay. Gay.
Gay.
Yeah.
Gay.
That's what it was giving. Caitlin, you can't say that.
Why?
I'm just kidding. And so then
I'm canceled now.
You're not canceled. I'm uncanceling you.
Oh, thank you.
I govern ye. Hear ye, hear ye. Caitlin has been uncanceled.
That's my scroll.
There you go. And so you have to I just imagine like you just like vanish. Like
that's me vanishing.
No. But then this place is so fancy because now we're with Mina and she's at her friend's place, Miss Lucy. Lucy is living the high life. And
I know, I want to be Lucy.
Yeah, very much so.
She had 3 different men pining after her. And werewolves having sex with her,
wearing really nice fancy dresses.
Yeah,
it seems like she had a full service and wait staff and people taking care of her, like really hot husband, not Arthur.
They were fiancé,
right? But then still had all the other hot guys. Yeah, and they were all just like fine with like all knowing, like they were all like kind of pining for her in the same way.
Was it called a harem?
It was weird, yeah. And so she's writing, and and then her diary. It's the 30th of May, right? 1987,
something like that.
1897, but not 1987. wrong decade, wrong century. And so she is kind of writing about how Jonathan is not there. And she's staying with her friends, although she doesn't think that Jonathan would like her staying there because he doesn't want her to get used to being so accustomed to like the fancy living,
lush life.
And she's also talking about Lucy and how there's like this Arabian Nights book, right? And how
yeah, and if you haven't read Arabian Nights, it's
raunchy. It's porn.
Yeah, basically. There is a lot of like sexual undertones in
Isn't that what like Aladdin was based off? Or it's kind of like no.
I think so, but maybe a certain tale
I don't know my
from
Disney
Arabian
lore.
Nights.
Yeah, gotcha. And so,
I just know that I had to read Arabian Nights for college.
oh, okay. The pictures, I was like, oh, yeah, it's giving like, kind of like those books you would find at like, you know, a Spencer's or something that show you
Like
sexual
different
positions.
sex
Yeah.
positions.
Or
Yeah.
the Kama Sutra or
I
something like
almost said that. And then I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know if that's right. So I'm not going to say it.
I said it.
You said it.
And I'm going to double down and say it again. Kama,
Kama
Sutra.
Sutra.
Caitlin, you said it with me. Thank
So
you.
now
And
we both go down
to hell.
together.
And Lucy comes in and she's just strutting in, doing her thing, floating in, and she makes Mina drop the book off the table. I don't know how the book falls off the table, but then she's just kind of like, oh, Jonathan should, be here and be with you on the floor doing unspeakable things.
Yeah,
and
does Jonathan measure up?
Yeah, oh yeah,
And
her
she
friend
was
Lucy
like-
is horny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, I did this just last night.
In my dreams.
In my dreams.
Yeah.
And
And
she's
Mina's
like,
very like, oh, you shouldn't talk like that. Like,
Yeah.
not as adventurous.
she saw the first illustration in Arabian Nights and was like, oh, that's disgusting.
But she was so intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then later on, as they were looking through it together, she kind of opened up more. And then she was like, Jonathan and I have done nothing but kiss. And they are talking about the book, but then all of a sudden our Texan comes in. She's like, a Texan. And then she says, he's a wild stallion between my legs. And I was like,
Wow.
nice.
That's a nice line. And
It is. To be described as that.
Other than the Texan, we also have a doctor. Doctor comes in, right? The doctor comes in, and then that's whenever
Arthur.
the fiancé,
Yeah.
Arthur comes in.
And I don't think he's her fiance yet.
Oh, okay. My
because later on she says, I've chosen. And she's like, I know who it'll be. And she says, I shall marry Arthur.
Arthur. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they're all coming in. She's got them just swooning after her, pining after her. They all look like a bunch of little like, I don't know.
Pawns.
Yeah, basically. But they're all like puppy-eyed and like,
yeah, they're little puppies.
Yeah, and like they're not even beefing with each other is the thing. Like they're not like, that's mine or do whatever.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like they're almost
knew
friends.
how to share.
Yeah, exactly. And so then
And then
I'm just
all
like
the
Lucy's
while,
getting all her mins.
Yeah, and all the while this is happening, we get this like kind of narration from Mina saying Lucy is a pure and virtuous girl. And I was like, what?
But sometimes how she speaks, like something. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think you know your friend too well, girl. She's not looking too pure and virtuous right now, which is fine.
And at this moment, when Lucy's doing her thing with her menses, the Dracula's shadow is coming into the building, and it's like now going over Mina, and she's aware of it almost in a way, and then starts hearing his voice.
He looked like Emperor Palpatine or whatever.
He did
the fuck
many times. Palpatine.
Yeah.
Darth Sidious.
With his, especially in this moment, I was like, what the fuck, am I watching Star Wars?
Yeah. And his face and everything, how
it's like
how it looked all wrinkly,
decrepit.
Yeah. And at this point, I think we cut back to Renfield. He's being studied by the doctor again, Dr. Seward.
Yeah, we're getting like a phonographic diary entry on Renfield and his obsession with bloodlust,
eating worms and flies. And then that's whenever he's asking him like, what can I give to you, what can I bring? And he's like a kitten. Like a kitten. And I thought of you immediately, and I was like, oh no, not a kitten.
Not a kitten.
And he's like, a cat. And he's like, yes, something bigger, something I can
Big,
feed.
fat cat.
And then he just keeps
says
repeating
he
the blood is life.
Lives for the master, and that he promises to make him immortal too.
Oh, yeah.
So very much a familiar.
Very much so. And he is chanting the blood is the life, which we also got in Nosferatu, which I'm assuming is from the book itself.
Yeah,
because for it to be so, prevalent. And then we cut back to Jonathan, who is now we get this scene where he's cutting and shaving him. He says beard in the mirror, and Dracula pops up, but he's like, his hand pops up behind him, but when we actually turn around and see Dracula, he's not
At
even
the door.
He's not even close to him.
Yeah.
So I don't. He was there or wasn't.
Yeah, I think maybe he like teleported back to the door.
Yeah.
Or like maybe he sent his astral body to go do that and spook him, and then he was standing at the door, possibly, and the door just like he walks in, the door closes on its own.
Yeah.
And he's getting awfully close to Jonathan, and he's like the way he's touching him, and stuff. I was like, "What are you doing there, bud?"
I'm gonna come on to him.
Yeah, I really thought, especially like, and then he takes the blade from his hand because Jonathan nicked himself while shaving.
Yeah,
and he licks the knife.
Oh, because he's also like, you have to be very careful.
Yeah,
the way you
about
shave.
your precious blood.
Mm-hmm. It could be more dangerous. It could be more dangerous than you think.
Yeah, like I could eat you.
Literally. Ow. And he then also just gets that blade and like puts it on his tongue and tastes his blood when Jonathan isn't looking. And so he grabs that shaver thing and he also looks in the mirror at this point and the mirror breaks, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, a man's vanity is something like
foolish or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Better grow
I
a
wonder if, because you know how in lore a lot of the times vampires don't have reflections.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if like he broke it in order to hide that his reflection wasn't there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Well, I think also we kind of saw that as well.
Or maybe he was just so ugly.
Well, I think they were giving that as well because they framed whenever Dracula's hand was coming up behind him to touch him on the shoulder. At first, you didn't see it in the mirror.
Yeah.
In the mirror. So I think that's what it's giving as well. Yeah. He did that because you can't see it.
Didn't want to get caught, found out.
So he just cracked it. Yeah. And then he starts to help him shave in the most sexy way.
Yeah, very sensual. Mm-hmm. He's like going so slow about it.
Just, trying to get
washing it
all
off.
Those little fuzzies out.
Yep. And it was pretty like how you could hear the like shaving happening. I was like, whoa. Yeah. That's pretty cool. But yeah, and then he sees his cross necklace as he's shaving him, and he growls at it.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Rah, those idols won't help you now," or something like that.
He says you shouldn't wear such like false idol thingies, whatever, and trinkets. Your customs in England aren't the same here, and you aren't in England. So
yeah, basically, we don't believe in that here. So
he was like, and Dracula said, "You'll see many strange things here." And then Jonathan is like, "I've seen many strange things already, like the wolves and the howling." And then Dracula's just like, "Oh yeah, the children of the night. They sound beautiful."
Do they not?
Yeah.
And
and then also Dracula did ask for the letters, and Jonathan just gave him the letters. Like, yeah, here you go.
Yeah, with no questions asked. But he did assume that he would read them.
Oh yeah.
But he says he's seen bloody he's seen bloody wolves chasing him through a blue inferno, which I guess that blue inferno was that same ring of fire thing. And then I didn't know if it meant bloody wolves or if it's because he was English and he was saying
bloody wolves,
like bloody, like fucking wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't sure which he meant, but I didn't know if it meant that they were like physically bloody. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it gave.
Yeah.
And Dracula also has to explain to him like, hey, while you're here, don't go and try to sleep in any other part of the castle because they contain bad memories.
Yeah, don't go exploring.
And he's basically Dracula is like, do you catch my drift? And Jonathan is like, I think I understand that I'm a prisoner.
Yeah. And then Dracula's like crawling on the side of the building at this point too. And Jonathan's just kind of watching him.
Like,
and
what
I was
the
like,
fuck?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was very interesting. But then he goes exploring the castle, just as he was just told not to. And he's exploring. He finds this chest full of elixirs and things. Like he pulls the cap off, and one of them's dripping like in reverse.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool. And then he hears his name being called, telling him to come. And it's this like ghostly female voice.
Yeah.
And she tells him to lay down in my arms and stuff. And then basically this ghost just comes up and is like in between his legs, and homeboy is not stopping it.
And he's like, ah.
Yeah, he started moaning. I was like, oh, okay. Here we go.
It, yeah. And then 2 other baddies came up next to her as well and started to get in on the action.
Yep. And so he had 3 girls going on him at once, and one of them burns his cross off his neck.
Yeah.
She was like,
she got rid of that quick,
that
actually.
thing
Yeah.
out of here.
And then like licked the remnants like really quick after, or like right where it was real quick after.
Which I was like, that must taste awful. Well, just like melted silver.
Oh yeah. But he was so hot.
He was. Yeah, I mean, I would have licked him too.
So attractive. When he first popped up and he was looking all dapper and his like, he's so cute. And
when his shirt was undone here and stuff too, I was like,
it was starting to give soft porn.
It was.
Yeah, because then they started reaching their hands like in between his crotch areas and stuff, and like
I was
licking his nipples.
Damn.
And
sucking. Getting hot in here.
Sucking blood at one point from his nipples. It almost looked like, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm like, how? But okay. But
they were at least licking his nipples.
Oh yeah.
Because there was a definite scene where one girl's tongue was going like. Blah, 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 blah.
Same. And then Dracula appears and he's like, what the heck?
What the heck? These are my wives.
These are my and not even he didn't even say that. He said to them, to the wives, he's mine.
Yeah, that's true. He did.
And so this is when I thought, because they were like, can we not have anything tonight? Or something like that. I thought he was about to be like, no, you cannot, and I'll have him or whatever.
Yeah.
But he ends up giving them a baby.
And I was like, oh shit, are they eating a baby right now? And they were.
Yeah, they eat it.
So that's totally what we saw.
They devour it.
He says, because the girls ask him like, what is going on? And he's like, I will love again. And then how dare you touch him? He belongs to me, kind of thing. And
then they ate the baby.
Then they ate the baby.
And then we get a gasp from Jonathan. He's like, and then just like Dracula like laughing, and then it just like fades to black.
And then we're filling boxes with dirt.
Yep.
Because he can't go anywhere without his damned soil.
Nope, cannot. And he is and then we're also cutting into between with Mina, who's like reading a letter. She's reading the letter. Yeah, she's reading the letter that he's not coming back. And then she goes and talks to Lucy about how he's not coming back. And then that's when it also cuts to the dirt getting put onto the boats. And
he comes out of the coffins all stiff like Nosferatu did. And so
but like in his gaudy outfit.
Yeah, it was like, I was like, what are you, Elton John?
Literally, that's what it gave. Yeah. It gave
Not that being Elton
Rainbow
John
Fish
is a bad thing.
Wow, Caitlin. Wow. Shots fired at Elton John.
I love Elton John.
Just kidding.
But Dracula wasn't pulling it off like Elton John does.
I only know like one Elton John song.
You probably know more.
I'm Still Standing.
That is one.
Still Standing, whatever.
I'm still standing.
Dum dum. Because the piano.
Than I ever did.
I think that's really.
Like
I mean,
kid.
That's the only one that I know that I've heard like all the way through.
You know Rocket Man.
No.
You don't know Rocket Man?
Mm-mm.
Oh shit.
I've never really listened to. I'm sorry. To what's his name?
Elton John.
Elton John.
You should watch the movie Rocket Man. It's got Taron Egerton.
I like him.
I like him too.
Yeah, he's got a nice butt.
Yeah, he's fucking hot as hell.
Yeah.
Love the Kingsman series.
Oh, I like those. Those are really good. But he's only in like, he's not in all of them, right?
No, I think he's only in the first 2.
Yeah.
Because then there's another like spin-off episode.
He's not in it.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one either.
Sucks. Okay. Anyways, this is our new podcast where we just petition for him to be in
All the
Kingsman.
Kingsmen wearing those suits that look so good on him. But then we're getting the captain's log from the Demeter, which is the ship.
Yeah.
Which
from the book.
Have you seen
Voyage of the Demeter?
Yeah.
I did watch it.
I haven't seen it.
Meh.
I heard
not the best. I fell asleep, I think. That's how good it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd still be interested to watch it.
The ending, I think. Yeah, maybe I'll rewatch it, but I don't think it got that great of reviews or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I think it had a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes. I looked it up.
Dracula is on it, and he is, doing his thing. He is eating the crew one by one, and they're all freaking out. And yeah, it's literally like Nosferatu.
Yeah, and then we're getting shots in between the logs from the captain's log and the reading from it. We're getting weird shots of Mina and Lucy running through a maze with Dracula's face overlaid, laughing, and he's like, ha 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 ha.
Oh yeah.
And they're just woo, running through the maze. And
yep, until Mina finds Lucy getting raw dogged by a werewolf.
Yeah, that's a little bit later.
Oh, my bad.
Because they go inside first.
Oh.
But then the crew starts to go missing, and little by little they're realizing that someone or something is on board with them. And then the doctor, I thought that maybe the doctor was a werewolf because he was shooting up with something.
Yeah, I can
and
see
then
that.
calling out Lucy's name, and then all of a sudden we're with a werewolf.
Yeah.
And so I was like, is he a werewolf? But then why did he act so surprised about a vampire? Like, dude, you're a werewolf. I had no clue what the werewolf had to do with
Sometimes werewolves don't know that they're werewolves, though, right?
Yeah, true.
Maybe. But no, I
thought maybe he was injecting himself with some sort of medicine
like a
to
serum
help
or something.
with
That plant from Blade.
Blade.
But I don't know what the werewolf had to do with anything as well, because it did catch me off guard, because then it also never really tied into much. And I also thought the werewolf bit Lucy, but yet then it came that it was the vampire that Dracula bit her, but we clearly saw the werewolf biting her on the neck.
And that was what made her. Dracula came later and bit her again.
Do you think Dracula took wolf form? Is that what it was? Werewolf form?
I do think that,
Maybe
but then why would he fuck
that.
Lucy instead of...
But that's the thing. Remember, he does as the werewolf when he's over Lucy and Mina's looking at him. He says, "No, don't see me."
Oh yeah.
It was Drac. Yeah, and he was cheating on Mina essentially, and he was like, "No, don't see me do this right now." Yeah.
Yeah, because this werewolf was fucking going hard on her.
Oh yeah.
Her back was arched. Her booty cheeks were off the ground, and he was fucking her.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
And she was enjoying it.
Yeah, she was having the time of her life.
Mm-hmm. And they're going at it until Mina looks at him and all this, and then gives him performance anxiety, I guess. And then. That was kind of a lot, honestly, going on at that moment. It was a lot.
Yeah, it was.
And then we can cut to Mr. What's his face? Dracula has now ascended into London, and we're getting this
and he's
explanation.
Aged backwards.
Oh yeah, and we're getting this explanation that vampires can actually walk during the day, despite what we've heard, and it just means that they're weaker, essentially.
Yeah, and
we get this little montage of him walking around in different kind of a film overlay type of thing.
Yeah,
and then he sees Mina.
He sees Mina, and then he says, see me now. And she turns right, and she turns and she turns her head, and she sees him. When he says that, yeah. And then he comes up to her, and she turns him right down.
Oh yeah, she doesn't want anything to do with him because she's promised to Jonathan.
Yeah, she's like, no, you can take it up with my husband. And he was like, oh, your husband, I see.
And she could have walked away at that point, but nope. She's like, hey, I'm sorry. I was actually a rude, dumbass bitch.
I was being a little mean to you.
And then he's like, oh.
Yeah, because she was like, if you see culture, go to a museum. Stop asking me this shit. And I was like, damn. And then
she was serving what should have been served though, because a
Yeah,
man like
fucking being
bothering you on the
creepy,
street like that,
grabbing
yeah.
her arm and shit. Yeah. And then he says, "My name is Prince Vlad. I am your servant." And she was
am your
like,
father. No, just kidding.
"What?"
Could be.
Immediately.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
That's
basically
what
happened.
did it. And
She's like, she had a, what is it called? Master servant kink kind of thing.
That's not where I didn't know that's where you were going, but yeah,
It is where I was going.
But I can see it most certainly. And
she wanted to be the master and step on his balls.
That's a thing?
That is.
How is that pleasurable? For
I don't know.
For the man too? He likes that?
Yeah. It's like
I haven't gone that far
pain.
in my porn hole. My porn
hole.
What's
pornal?
Pornal into whatever, Okay, gotcha. I'll Google it one day if I ever feel adventurous.
Typically it's with heels too.
Why?
Yeah.
Doesn't that cause them to like bleed and then like hurt or like cut them?
It could. I guess if she steps hard enough.
That's really interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
No judgment. That just sounds like it's painful. But
Yeah,
I guess some people like it. But hey, pain is pleasure, huh? Right?
Right.
That's a thing.
That's what they say.
So we are talking about a bunch of sexy stuff and shit. We're with fucking Lucy.
Yeah.
Sexy ass horny Lucy. And she's actually really pretty, by the way. Like,
yeah, she's gorgeous.
And she was giving like very like vixen.
Yeah.
And
I was like, shit, I'd pine after her too.
Yeah. And because she was also just so sweet and bubbly and like her like she was so charismatic and like just like funny.
I was like, I like her.
She was silly. And so then she's changing. She's going through some stuff and the doctor's coming to see her, but he's confounded because he doesn't know what's going on with her.
And he says she can hear everything. She's like, I can hear the mice stomping around upstairs.
Like elephants. And I can hear the servant speaking from across the house.
And so he's, like you said, confounded and he has no clue what the hell is going on. So he calls in Dr. Van Helsing to help Lucy.
Yeah.
And Jack says, spare no expense.
Oh, yeah.
Get this man here. Or
Arthur.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think Jack might be the doctor.
Jack is the doctor. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Jack, Quincy, Arthur.
Jack, Quincy, and Arthur. That's right.
Quincy's the Texan, yeah.
Quincy is the Texan. And then we get a pretty cool transition, I thought, from the bite to the wolf's eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that was pretty dope.
Cinematic masterpiece.
I liked it.
It was cute.
It was.
I thought it was a bit
cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can.
It is cheesy.
But
it definitely was. But I still thought it was cool.
It was cool.
I was like, okay. And then we're with this wolf who I thought was then maybe Lucy.
That's what I thought too.
Because it was like all in white. It was a white wolf. And I was like, she was just all in white because she was getting married to or getting her wedding dress fitted.
But also, wouldn't she have been a red wolf? Because she was like redheaded.
Red hair. Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I can see it though. She could have been a white wolf. But yes.
Maybe it depends on what you're wearing.
We did see earlier in the movie that, and we've seen in like a news clipping really fast that the wolf had escaped the zoo.
From the zoo. Yeah.
So this is the wolf that has been escaped from the zoo. It ends up being at the like this picture show thing that Dracula and Mina are at, although he is going as Prince Vlad, not as Dracula. And it was giving was it like porn or softcore porn? It was a bunch of like nakedy people in the background. Am I too far ahead?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think it was, but yeah. And then basically everyone sees the wolf and starts freaking out. And then Mina is kind of cornered by the wolf.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's about to attack her. But then, he was about to bite her at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Dracula.
Right. This was, he was about to bite her. Well, because he was being really aggressive with her and like taking her and then trying to like kiss all over her. And she's like, stop it. When, no. And then he is about to bite her, but that's whenever the wolf comes in and starts making the commotion.
Yeah.
And
the wolf stops him basically. And then he tames the wolf and she pets it. Yeah. And then their like hands are all touching. They were like brushing hands with their gloves over, and I was like,
yeah, it was weird. Yeah.
I don't know why that was weird to me, but it was.
Like leather gloves like that touching was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just
like
sounds squeaky
also
and
like
feels weird. Yeah.
You don't pet a dog, and like if somebody like the owner's holding a dog, you don't go and pet the owner's hand or something.
Yeah,
like you pet around their hands.
Yeah.
And they were just like petting over each other, and I was like, whoa.
That's weird. Yeah,
it was weird.
And she's talking to him, and she also, whenever he was trying to like bite her or whatever, kiss her, he spoke Romanian to her, and she's like, I know you, who are you, whatever. So just there's already kind of moments of her kind of like, I guess, picking up on her past life as being the reincarnation of Elizabetha or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he basically drops her off at night and is like, rizzed her up.
Yeah. And she was bewitched.
Bewildered.
And then we're with Dr. Van Helsing.
And he gets a letter because he's teaching other science people about
the vampire bat. The vampire blood bat, much like our carnivorous plant teacher. Dueler, whatever his name was,
Judge Toller,
and the Nosferatu, but and then we are back with Jonathan. We flash to him after Van Helsing gets his letter,
and he wants to escape.
And he's like, the women are keeping my blood drained to keep me weak, and I can't. He's like, I'm gonna try and escape one more time through the water. Which I was like, poor fucking Jonathan. Like, he didn't stop their approach the first time they came on to him. But now he's like unconsensually getting
just
ravaged.
Literally, yeah.
And like, I don't know.
Against
and then
will.
His fucking fiancee's out here
getting swooned,
cheating on him.
Literally dined by what's his face, Dracula, and then ends up falling in love with him.
Yeah, hardcore
for
to
real.
The point where, like, I was like, "What?" And the whole time, Jonathan was like, I felt so bad for him.
I did too.
I was like, "This is so sad."
And then also, how do you explain when you come back? Like, oh, sorry, babe. Like, I was being sucked off and like held captive and being sexually molested by vampire women. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, he is going through all that, and then Van Helsing ends up arriving to just in time to witness Lucy losing her ever goddamn shit.
Yeah, and Dracula was controlling her in this instance, I think. And it was very sexual yet again. And
she's always moaning.
She's got like her whole titty out.
Oh yeah.
And she's like literally in like the state of an orgasm, basically. And then Van Helsing comes in and they start performing a blood transfusion on her.
With Arthur's blood and Jack's blood.
Yeah. Rudimentary.
It was such a cool
contraption
to see how they used to do that, I guess.
Yeah, with like the pulley thing and then putting it inside.
And someone has to like manually like pump that shit like
in. Yeah. I know. I was crazy. Like, whoa. Also, I wouldn't trust that.
Well,
it looked pretty sketch.
Why people died.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
including Lucy. Just kidding. She's not dead yet.
No, because the transfusions work. She has had at least 2 man's blood inside of her. And they're like, how the fuck does that even happen? And they're like, I don't know. And then Van Helsing's like, because it's supernatural. Basically. But also too, Lucy does get a letter that Jonathan is like at the convent or something like that.
Yeah, because I think he gets out. He escapes through the water, like he.
Oh yeah, he escapes. Yes,
and then he makes it to the convent, and they write her saying like
he has a fever.
Your fiance's here, like yeah, he's got a fever. Please come here and marry him at once, kind of thing. And So he did. And then Van Helsing and stuff is, I think we already covered that. But yeah, Dracula was just hiding in the dirt.
Yeah.
There.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Just getting himself pretty. And
oh, wait. I have all that later. I don't know. But Dracula was hiding in the dirt. And then basically Mina's cheating. The next scene we have is Mina like cheating on Jonathan basically by having dinner with Prince Vlad, and he gives her absinthe and stuff. And like she's like kind of tripping balls, and then she's like, her face is a river. I've seen her face. She's a river filled with tears and sadness and heartbreak. Tears of sadness and heartbreak. And that's when she realizes that they were lovers in like a past life kind of thing, or a past life for her. And he is like kissing all on her and stuff. And then this is when Jonathan tries to escape and he falls into the river. Okay. And Mina's just sitting there dancing with Dracula, and she calls him my sweet prince. And I was like,
she's feeling it. She's smitten.
Yeah. And that's when she gets the letter saying, and she's like, Jonathan must never know of us. And so, and then she goes to visit Lucy, and she's like, I'm not going to go to Jonathan. And I was like, and she says it's because she wants to stay with Lucy.
That's right.
But I was like, I don't.
And she's like, no, you got to go. You got to go marry him and fall in love with him at once.
This is your husband. Yeah. Like, go get your man. And she's like, I already got a second man that I like more.
Literally.
And Lucy's looking rough at this point. Well. And she's changing.
The transition is also like taking forever? Or is this like, is Dracula doing this on purpose? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It was taking a while. Maybe it was just the next day, and maybe it only happened within like the period of a day or something.
Possibly.
I don't know. But yeah, she was looking rough. She's changing. And this is where we get the line Nosferatu, Van Helsing says. And he keeps saying ja.
Ja. Ja.
Ja, spelled J-A.
Yes, Nosferatu. And Van Helsing is reading from a book, right? And he's reading about the Nosferatu.
Yes.
And there was something. I noted it, but I just wrote Van Helsing reading as if I would remember exactly what he was reading.
Yeah, that's about all I wrote
but
too.
he's doing that, and then we cut to Mina, who is dumping Dracula in a letter.
Yeah, she says, I will never see you again.
Hardcore. Like, for real.
And then she's
very
like
breaking up with someone in a text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And he's distraught.
Oh, he's not happy. He's so sad. He's crying.
He is crying.
Blood tears.
And then she's basically saying, she's on her way to Jonathan, and she's saying, he speaks to me in my thoughts. Dracula does. And that she felt more alive with him than she ever has.
Jonathan,
yeah. And now she's confused. And I was like, well, you're about to go marry this dude, so you better make up your fucking mind.
Better unconfuse yourself. Because she's on the boat, she's doing all that, and then Drac is like on the other side, mad, and like he's got this like he doesn't look human anymore. Looking. I think because he's like the love was what brought him back to looking more human.
Yeah.
And now he's like mad and like ugh. So
he kind of looked like like Calabar and
Calabar's Revenge
and Halloween Town.
Calabar. Oh yeah, when he turns evil. Yeah.
His face kind of looked like that.
Yeah. Well, because like that's always the thing, right? Is what they say, like evil makes you look ugly and whatever and things like that. But I don't know. I'm like, who knows? But he ends up conjuring winds. Because he's like, winds of the gathering sea. Winds. I don't know. And then that's whenever we have Van Helsing then telling the gang that Lucy's a whore.
Yeah, the devil's concubine.
She's the devil's concubine. Yeah. And there is only one way to save her. And that is through I forgot what it was. Was it just
stabbing a stake through her heart and cutting off her head.
He wanted to do that so bad.
He did
the whole time. But yeah, why did they leave? I don't remember. Maybe I missed that. They leave her and split up for some reason, but like leave Quincy protecting her and Arthur at the bedside.
Yeah, I forgot why they left. Maybe they needed to go get the supplies
It
to
happened
like
so fast. But then
or maybe they were gonna try one more thing to save her.
But then the werewolf comes in and starts like fucking everything up, and then Lucy wakes up because like the werewolf is near, and then it's a werewolf, but I guess it's actually Dracula. Yeah. So it was Dracula, and he starts. Oh, and the whole meanwhile we're cutting to the scenes of Mina and John, our boy, marrying, and Dracula's like cursing Lucy because I guess he's pissed off at Mina.
Yeah. And so he is taking all the guards down one by one. He, sends Quincy flying, and then he says like, I condemn you to living death, to eternal hunger for living blood. And then it's a real actual wild wolf eating Lucy, isn't it? Like not a werewolf, but like like a wolf. Real looking wolf.
It's not the white wolf, is it?
No, it was like a dark colored wolf.
And then she starts, and she's just screaming. So you would think she's like dying or getting mauled to death. And
then lots of blood explodes out just as Mina and Jonathan kiss, sealing their marriage.
Yes.
And then we flash to her casket, Lucy's casket, and she
looks impeccable.
Dead.
She looks cute in her outfit.
It was a pretty dope casket too.
Yeah, I liked it. If I ever have a casket,
that's Snow White as fuck.
Even though I don't want to be buried or whatever, have a casket, and I want to be cremated. That's a really dope ass basket.
Yeah, if I'm gonna have like an open face ceremony, what's it called? Open casket.
Yeah, open casket. Yeah, but like I want to look like that.
Open face, like I'm a fucking sandwich or
tits
something.
Out. Tits out, right? Your tits out.
Yes, I have my tibbies out.
Full bondage.
I want to be in a pink casket though.
Ooh, that'd be cute.
But then I also don't want to be buried. I want to be cremated.
Only pink boots on. So, that's it.
Pink Nothing boots else. Only.
Oh, and you're like vajazzled.
Vajazzled.
Yeah.
I like it. What if I'm like 90?
They'll have to like pull the skin and then like put each rhinestone like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay.
It'll be good.
I don't know. I'm sure by the time we're 90 that there's gonna be, what year is that? It's like 2050 something, I think. I think it's later than that, actually. My bad.
Okay, I was about to say, holy shit, we're gonna die so soon.
Actually, I think it's way more than that. I think it's like, it's like 2080 something. Yeah, because if we were born in the 90s, and like almost 100, it'd be in the 80s. Yeah. So, anyways, let's not think about that.
I'm scared
crippling
now.
Death. I want to go home. And so Lucy is dead, but we have Van Helsing talking to Jack, being like, "Hey, can we like go get the body?" And he's like, "Tonight?" And he's like, "Wait, what do you want to do? You want to like, perform an autopsy?" He's like, "No, I just want to cut off her head and take out her heart."
Yeah, it was so funny. The way he just was like so casual about it. Yeah. Like, no, I just want to take off her head.
And then at this point, Mina is married to John, but is missing Dracula, as she's stating in her narration.
Yeah, she's pining after
and she's
him.
So sad because she's come back to find out that Lucy is dead, although she knew that was going to happen. And then John is in the car, and he sees Dracula from across the street, and he's like on site. He's like ready to fight. But she's like, "No, stop. Like, what's wrong?" And he's like,
"It is the man himself. Look, he's grown young."
But like nobody's like even paying attention to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we flash to Van Helsing and the gang saying Lucy is the undead, and they're gonna go get her body from the casket, which they open the like concrete casket thingy, and she gone.
Yeah, she's not there, and they're like, "What the fuck? Where she's at?" Arthur's like, "What have you done to my woman?" And he's like, got him at gunpoint. And Van Helsing, I love when people just like move a gun, like just so like unbothered, like, okay, bro, okay,
get that on my face.
Yeah, she is the undead, and this is what they do. And then he's like, and then they don't wait long because then they start hearing a baby crying, and then they start to see like some footsteps.
This part
come.
was so funny to me.
And they just like, they're like, hide. And then she comes up with the baby, the little girl, and then they like step out and they're like, Lucy. And she just drops that little kid on the ground. The little kid's so like, fast. How it just plops.
It was so funny.
It was an actual child.
I was laughing.
It was the director's daughter. JK, probably not. But they end up, having a moment with her, and they cut off her head. And
yeah, he
Van
Helsing's like got the cross to her, and he's like, blah blah blah, power price.
That's right.
Price compels you, and some shit. And she's like, ah, and then she like pukes up blood on him, and she's like, bleh. And then he chops off her head and then draws a stake through her heart. And
the husband, Arthur does. Arthur does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Van Helsing's like kind of coaching him through it.
Yeah, he's like, do it now.
Do it now, my man. Do it. Heed you. And then he does that. And then is it Jack or is it Van Helsing? One of them then grabs the sword and then just chops off her head. Chop. And then we cut to dinner with Van Helsing. Yep. With Mina and Jonathan.
And he's being so casual and he's like, did you taste the blood of the demonic woman?
Yeah.
And he was like, no. And then also fucking poor Jonathan has gone gray now.
With his hair.
Yeah.
Through the whole experience.
All of the stress and stuff.
Maybe all the blood loss.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. And I love how they're just kind of talking about the situation. Like you said, it's like kind of so cavalier. And then Mina's like, wait a minute. Like, what did y'all do with Lucy? And he's like, well, we chopped her fucking head off.
Yeah. And she was like, no.
Yeah.
And then basically they're talking about how he can appear at will, control bats and wolves, and he can appear as like a mist or other things, kind of giving us some more lore into the actual vampire.
Dracula.
Yeah. And what all he can do. And then we're back with Renfield, right?
Yeah.
And he going.
Because they're trying to keep her, they need to go hunting essentially or whatever. And go find the place where all the dirt is so that way they can, get rid of it. But they take Mina to the place where they were keeping Renfield because they think that's where she's going to be safest. And yeah, she's talking to Renfield, and Renfield's basically like, my master tells me all about you and your hot pussy and like how much you be serving it to him. And she's like, shh, stop it. Oh my God. Like, I am a married woman.
Yeah.
And then he's like, psh, not what I heard, not from my master. And then she's like, wait, tell me all about your master. And then he's like, I don't remember. He said some dumb shit.
Yeah,
that's like
but eventually he gets mad, and he's like, he promised me to be immortal, but instead he gave it to the young, pretty woman instead of me.
And then she's like, okay, like I love how she's like, Winona always gives the best with her eyes. Like she's just like whatever. And then the dude's taking her, and then he like Jack takes her up to his quarters, and he's like, it's not that great, but it should be comfortable for you. Here you go. Stay here.
Toiletries and everything are at your disposal.
Water. And then then we cut to the guys, and they're at the place, and they're basically at the, what's it called? The something Abbey. This is where the dude was saying.
The Abbey, that Dracula bought. Yeah. And they're destroying all of Dracula's crates, all of his dirt and stuff.
Did you say let the baptism? Not baptism. Exorcism begin? I don't know. Van Helsing said something like that.
Yeah, he was like chanting in Latin and stuff too.
And then we see that Dracula is literally just like sleeping here at this place in his full beast mode.
Yep. And then I got really confused with, at this point, did Renfield die?
So what happened is that they start to like attack all the boxes of dirt and whatever shit. And then Dracula sees them doing this. So he then, like, a storm starts brewing up, and he turns into that green mist, and he goes to Renfield, and he's like, you've betrayed me, Renfield, whatever. And the green mist literally is like throwing Renfield up against the bars, and he dies. I'm pretty sure he died because it gave kind of like a little bone crack thing.
Yeah, it looked like his face got fucked, and like smashed to pieces.
And then that green mist then goes to, what's her face, to Mina, and then is like talking to her, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you came. I've been wanting you. I miss you." And then he's like, "You don't know what you talk about." And then she's like, "I actually do. Like, I really
Bitch, I
want,
think I do.
like, I want you right now. Like, take me." And then he's like, "But you can't because I am dun 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 Dracula."
Yeah, he says, "There is no life in this body." And she goes, "But you live."
Mhm.
And she's like, "You must tell me." And he says, "I am Dracula."
Yeah.
And
She's
they
like
were
even more
getting,
into him now.
yeah, and
Mhm.
they were getting real hot and steamy once
Mhm.
again. And I was like, "Oh shit, they're gonna like fuck for real."
Oh yeah. And then
And
she's like, "Turn me. I want to be like you." And he's like, "Okay." And then he's like, "No." And then he's like, "Okay." And then he's like, "No." And then she sucks his nipple.
yeah,
Mhm.
well, and she accuses him of murdering Lucy
Oh yeah.
too. And she starts like beating him up. And then she's like, "But I love you."
Forgive me,
And
God, but I do.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then he says, "To walk with me, you must die in your breathing life and be reborn with me." And she's like, "You are my love and my life always." And I was like, "What the fuck happened to your husband, bitch?"
Yeah, and your best friend who
Yeah.
was murdered by him.
You don't care. And then she's like, "Everlasting love."
Do you think at
And
that point is it destiny? Does destiny take over?
yeah, I think so.
I guess because she's the reincarnation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, ultimately, but like she should have ended things with
Oh yeah,
Jonathan first before.
she could have. She had many chances to not
Yeah.
even marry him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she ended up following through with that and then sitting there fucking yeah.
Yeah. But how many
Also
times have
she
I gone through something that I didn't really even want to do, but I felt like I had to. So maybe she felt like she just had to
yeah.
marry Jonathan at that point. I don't know. But yes, continue.
Yeah. Um though yeah, he cuts his nipple open and like his little
Mm-hmm.
titty and she starts drinking from it and his nipple looks so fake.
Yeah.
I was like, "That's a fake nipple."
That's what I thought about Kiana's earlier too, though. Whenever blood was coming, I thought blood was coming out of it, and the girls were like, but
Yeah,
also it would have to be because how does blood come out of a nipple?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they just used little fake nipple bleedy
Nipple
pads.
props. I'm gonna find some for us.
And then we can just stick them on our
Yeah,
arms.
little pasties, but they're actual nipples.
Little nipples.
Um,
I want some
you want
right
to put
here.
them like on your things. That's I see. Oh yeah, that's cute. You look like
Nipple face.
That's what I'm gonna call you.
That's me.
We'll put you on a shirt.
Nipple face.
And if we have 5 people that say they want a nipple Caitlin face shirt, we'll do it. Just 5 people.
Just 5 people.
Limited time deal. And so then yeah, she's doing all of that. She's basically doing the thing and turning into a vampire. And then the guys show up just in the nick of time and they're like, "Get away from her." And he's like, and they're like,
and he
and
was like, he was like, "Drink and join me in eternal life." And then he was like,
no, yeah.
"No, never mind."
That's
yeah.
why I was like, he's yes, no, yes,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I for real. Like I was like, make up your mind,
I was
Dracula.
like, it's a little late for that, don't you think?
At that point too, yeah. And especially when he was like, "I can't condemn you to this life." And she's like, "To save me from the death?" And she's like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And then he's like, "All right, yeah."
And so then, yeah, she goes back to sucking on his titty. And this is where I was like, he's really not cute.
No, he's not. But then the guys show up and they're fighting him. And
now he's a giant bat person.
And he's like,
this looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked his whole get up here.
Yeah.
I thought it would be cooler if he would look like that more throughout the movie, but he did not. And yeah, it doesn't take that much to like really fight him, and then he just decides to turn into rats and flee.
Yeah.
Which he does. And then yeah, that's pretty much it with that. And then and next we're talking, it's Van Helsing is talking to Mina about how, they need to save her, or something like that. They need to destroy Dracula in order for her to not turn fully into a vampire, I guess.
Yeah.
Or I guess she's already one, but in order for her to be saved. And then her soul to not be condemned. And then they, this is when we get Jonathan's kind of narration of like how they plan to cut off Dracula's ship because he's already being shipped back to Transylvania.
Yeah, he's
And
going back to Transylvania to grow strong again.
And so they're gonna go on land because Drac is going through ship, and then the gang totally um splits up right once they start getting close.
Yeah, so basically, the Dracula's like reading what they're doing through Mina's mind. And so they missed the first, like, someone was supposed to notify them once his ship passed through a certain port, and they didn't because they like went through in the dead of night. And so he was like, I missed the ship. And so they missed him at the first port. And then they were going to, now they're going to Galatz or something to try and cut him off again. And then they split up, sending Mina and Van Helsing as decoys in the other direction. And then so they send them off, and then they're around that fire. Van Helsing and Mina were with them, and
oh yeah, that's right.
The brides are talking to her. They come up and
they're like working through her.
Yeah,
almost essentially.
And then she starts coming on to Van Helsing,
and she does get him to start make out with her for a little while.
I was like, oh,
but then he's like, no, get off of me, and then he's like yelling at the brides.
Yeah. And then the brides killed the ponies.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that was so sad.
And he's like, no. But he immediately gets his revenge.
Yeah, he kills the 3 brides and then he throws their heads off a cliff.
Chops off their heads pretty easily. Like, they were deep sleepers.
Yeah.
Because just right next to each other. But yeah, he's like, Dracul, your wives, here we go. And then this is whenever we cut to I think Van Helsing and Miss Mina make it to the castle, and then Drac is near because his carriage is coming up, and then this is when we have this whole interaction between the guys trying to like take out the carriage,
and the guys are slowly getting taken down one by one by the people on the carriage defending Dracula, and then Mina starts casting a spell.
Yeah,
basically,
that's essentially what it gave. Yeah, and calling upon the powers of storm.
Yeah, and it makes one of the riders like fall off his horse, basically, because the horse starts freaking out. And they're also fighting and racing against the sunlight because obviously he'll be weaker in the sunlight because he's at his weakest right now. So they're trying to get him into the sunlight before the sun goes down.
Yeah,
and then they make it to his castle, right? And
yeah, they do.
They're inside the gates, and a big fight ensues.
Well, it's because he has all these like minion people like help fighting on his behalf, like, you know, doing all this. And at this point, I think even Quincy gets stabbed in the back.
Yeah, Quincy does get stabbed,
and that's when he starts fighting off with these 2 on the ground. And then we have them essentially not making it in time because then the sun goes down and Dracula pops out.
He pops out like a little, like he's in an egg or in a birthday cake.
They're attacking, they're fighting. He gets stabbed, right? Is this when they stab him? Yeah, he gets stabbed by someone, and then he gets stabbed again. And then they're like almost gonna kill him, but then Mina's like, no, stop it, like,
because Mina and Van Helsing once she realized that it was not going well, Mina starts running, and gets there, and then she's pointing the gun, and she's pointing the gun at Jonathan, too, and I was like,
Van Helsing has to stop her,
yeah, and then like they start going inside and everyone starts running after them, and Jonathan's like, let him go, because she was like, are you gonna chop my head off too when the time comes? And Jonathan was like, no, I won't. He still loved her.
He loves her, and I think he loves her enough to know, like, I'm gonna let her go do her thing. Because then they're like, he's like, our work is done, her work is left to do.
Just beginning.
And so she goes into the castle with him, the church area, and then he's dying essentially, and
and Quincy dies.
Quincy dies.
That was sad.
I thought so too, and I was like, man, it had to be the Texan. And then she's like there with him, and I guess her love saves him before his like last, like before he takes his final breaths, and then he turns into human form, and then he's like, okay, like, you know, give me peace, and so she stabs him.
Yeah, and
It's so
she
dramatic.
even because she kisses him
Yeah.
in his like hideous state, and she then says, "Our love is stronger than death." And he says, "Give me peace," and so she just stabs him, or he was already stabbed, but she then pushes the knife and sword in lower, and I guess maybe she also becomes not a vampire anymore because the mark on her head disappears and stuff. Like once her master dies, maybe she's freed from that curse.
I think that's how it works in this situation.
So I was like, okay. And then she's like kissing his dead body, and then she chops his head off. And then we just pan up to a shot of the ceiling with a picture of them on it. And
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then we just roll credits.
Because it was kind of reversed. How like he had to watch her die, or had her dead at the altar at the beginning, and then it reversed to her with him in her arms.
It's just dead. Romeo and Juliet.
Essentially.
That's all it is.
There you go.
That's it.
That's Romeo and Juliet, you guys. Summed up for you on Boobies. I'm going to go ahead and... Do you have any fun facts, or should I just...
I do have fun facts, but
Let's
you can
do a fun fact. No,
okay.
fun fact me.
Fun fact time.
Fun factiana.
Producer and director Francis Ford Coppola explains on the DVD documentary that Mina and Harker's wedding was a reshoot done at Los Angeles Greek Orthodox Church. They filmed the entire ceremony with a genuine Romanian Orthodox minister and realized afterwards that Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves may have really been married to each other, not in any legal sense, but under the eyes of God, as Ryder claims. Reeves has since confessed that he often gets text messages from Ryder that read, "Hello, husband," and they're both completely fine with it.
That's funny.
That is funny. Prince Vlad's scream after he drives his sword into the cross is not the voice of Gary Oldman, but Lux Interior, lead singer of punk band The Cramps, recorded the scream, and it was dubbed in. Interesting.
That's cute.
Just for that one moment, they
were like, Gary, you're not good enough.
Yeah, we're going to use this guy. At the first cast meeting called by producer and director Francis, he got all of the principal actors and actresses to read the entire Bram Stoker novel out loud to get a feel for the story. According to Sir Anthony Hopkins, it took 2 whole days to complete.
I mean, I could imagine if I had, yeah.
Yeah. Gary Oldman hired a singing coach to help him lower his voice by an octave to help him give Dracula a more sinister quality.
It didn't give sinister. It gave gay. No, just kidding. It just didn't give sinister. It just gave more like dramatic theater.
Yeah.
Like opera. I don't know.
I didn't get sinister. And then producer and director Francis says on the DVD audio commentary that during the shaving scene, the walls of the set gradually move inward to create a subliminal growing sense of claustrophobia.
Did you catch that?
No.
I'd have to rewatch it. It did get a bit darker. I felt like it was just the lighting. I didn't know if it was the walls coming in like that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I was reading ones that say that they're spoilers.
Oh.
Producer and director Francis screened this movie for a close friend George Lucas, who suggested that, in adherence to the vampire mythology, Mina should decapitate Dracula as the ultimate release for him to reach heaven. Coppola agreed and shot it 3 weeks before the movie's release. Oh, shit. So they added in that ending.
Right at the end.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Interesting. But yeah, that's all the fun facts I got for you.
Well, that was it, you guys. Fun facts from Caitlin. Moving on to Boo ratings. I would say that I would have to give this movie like a yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Like a 2.8. A 2.8. It's cool. It wasn't scary by any means. It was just...
It's definitely more romance.
It was more romance. It was... kind of cheesy and campy. If anything, I just really liked the actors. I guess did pretty good jobs.
Yeah, the actors all did a great job.
I think I liked Winona the best. I actually know. I think I liked Lucy the best. She was my favorite character.
Yeah, I liked
Lucy
Lucy
was
a lot.
honestly the best person in the movie. I no. Okay. It was really long. I don't think it needed to be that long.
No, it was 2 hours.
Definitely
And I
not
was
as long as
like,
an hour and 30 would have been okay. Could have still told the story. Nosferatu did it in an hour and like 20. I'm just saying. Same basically premise. And then even though I get it that like Dracula is the basis for Nosferatu, I just felt like this was just really comical. Like I don't know if it was supposed to be taken seriously. Like I don't know if they were trying to do or accomplish with it. To be honest, it just felt like a bit like or maybe they were taking it too seriously that it just got really unserious. Maybe that was the thing. But
they didn't feel like they were in on the joke.
Yeah, but it was a bit dark on a lot of the scenes, especially like the nighttime scenes, which I guess I get. A lot of the special effects didn't really look so cool anymore. But yeah, I would just give it a 2.8. That's what I give it. Done. Y'all.
Yeah.
What do you think? I don't know. Am I being harsh?
No.
Okay. It just wasn't that great.
I was thinking like 2.5.
Okay, yeah. I'm a 2.3 it.
Okay. Yeah. No, to me, the film, I literally, while I was watching it, I was like, I would not watch this again.
This is horrible cinema.
And it just...
I would only watch it for Keanu and Winona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lucy.
And Lucy, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But overall, like it just... I feel like there's got to be a better adaptation of Dracula out there. Like from what I understand, I think it sticks pretty close to the book. So I've not read Bram Stoker's Dracula, so I can't really speak to that. But from what I understand, from what I've read about it, that it did stick pretty closely to the novel, which I imagine is pretty cool. But there still was just so much that, like, again, it didn't need to be 2 hours long. There was like a bunch of scenes that I was like, why are we showing this right now? Like, this isn't driving the plot at all. And it's not really helping the storyline develop in any way. And so it just was a little confusing to me. There are the actors I thought were great. They had a good cast for it. Anthony Hopkins can do no wrong in my eyes, even though he played a kind of a goofy character. Van Helsing was like, have you watched Van Helsing, the movie?
Yeah. Oh yeah. With Hugh Jackman.
And so I'm like used to Van Helsing being like
more like that.
Yeah.
Of a character.
And so, and then this Van Helsing was pretty goofy. But
there's the Dracula 1958, right? The horror of Dracula or Dracula, I'm not sure, but it has Christopher Lee as Dracula.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know. There might be that version that you might like, but I mean, there's definitely so many different versions. Yeah.
Of Dracula. Yeah. And so this one to me, it very much was, again, it was super sexual, which is fine. But like literally some scenes borderline soft porn, like you said. And it just, there was some moments where I was like, okay, sometimes this doesn't need to be happening.
Sometimes it gives almost like, it just doesn't, it just wouldn't, it's just unnecessary. That's all. It's just unnecessary. Yeah.
There were just, some scenes that I was like, I don't think we needed that. So I think, 2.5 for me. It just overall wasn't my favorite movie. It wasn't the worst movie I'd ever seen by any means. It just still, there was no moment in that film where I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Like,
I love the ending.
when
the mural on the ceiling.
The mural was nice.
That's it.
Yeah. And I like that one transition, the cheesy transition.
You did with the eyes for the teeth, sucky bite marks.
Little sucky bite marks, yeah. But yeah, so I think that's a 2.3.
And
is your final answer, and a 2.5.
Yeah, because the more you talked about it, the more I hated it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, when Mike asked how we thought of it, I was like, no.
Yeah. But so that makes it a 2.4. 2.4 will be nice. Yeah.
2.4 overall for your boobies, from your boobies.
For Francis Coppola's 1992
Bram Stoker's
Dracula. Oh my God, that's a lot. But yeah, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studio, you guys. They take really good care of us. So if you'd like to listen to our podcast or all the other podcasts that they do have, you can do that at roguemedianetwork.com.
That's right. And if you want to listen to us or any of those other podcasts, you can do so on a slew of podcasting platforms. But the biggest two would be
at Spotify
and also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then tell your friends, word of mouth.
Tell your vampire
season
friends.
Is upon us. And yes, here soon, the Spirit of Halloween's will be opening up. Oh, yeah. So that'll be fun.
Where are they going to be at? Do you know?
I don't know. Not.
I love how it always travels kind of different places.
Yeah, sometimes. I wish I didn't like the location it was in last year over there by the Target.
Did not care for that either. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it in the
like over here,
a Half Price Books place
by Mardell's.
Yeah,
which always I love when it's right next to Mardell's. It's great.
Yeah,
it's a bit of irony in there.
Oh yeah, that's funny because it's a Christian bookstore, isn't it? That's funny. But yeah, so word of mouth, tell your friends about spooky season, watch horror movies with us. It'll be fun. And up next, we're going to be doing Monster Month.
The Monster Mash. This was a Monster Mash. The Monster Mash. It was a graveyard smash. The Monster Mash. That's the only part I know. Yeah, so Monster Month. So we're gonna do The Thing as a little preview. The monster from the Black Lagoon, and a couple other options that we have in there that I literally just said it, but The Mist, I think that was on there as well.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that, you guys. Really excited for those. And what else do we got going on? Is that it? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. And then what else can they do, or if they need to reach out to us?
Right.
Or do
something?
If
you want to let us know your thoughts on Bram Stoker's Dracula 1992 version, or any of those upcoming movies that we have, and we'll read your reviews on air. You can do so by reaching out to us on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that's
at Boobays Podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your Boobays, not your Boobabes. And
that's right.
Until next time.
Until next time, you guys.
Bye, bays.
Bye, bays.
Boobays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network